everyone, it's Nicole Wilkins with FitnessRx for Women, and this is my next question and answer segment where I took your questions from Facebook and I'm going to answer them for you today. The first question I have is, hi Nicole, I work out 5 to 6 days a week, running 15 to 20 miles, and I lift 3 times a week. I incorporate high intensity interval training and cross train some days. I want to maintain my current weight but be more defined. My diet is good and I see my body somewhat getting defined. However, I feel like I'm working extremely hard for minor results. I feel exhausted most days and think I'm not eating enough food. What supplements and foods should I eat to avoid being sluggish and to recover from training and running? What I would do is start out with tracking what you're eating on a regular basis, because it sounds to me like you aren't taking in enough calories, whether that is coming from carbs or fats or proteins. I'm not really sure. I also don't know how big you are or how much you weigh or what you look like, how much muscle you have, how old you are. So for me to determine if you are taking in enough food, I'm not really sure. You are doing a lot of cardio. If you're doing 15 to 20 miles, I'm guessing that you're doing, an hour 4 days a week or so. And if you're looking to have more definition in your body, instead of 3 days a week of weightlifting, I would shoot for 4 or 5, and that's going to help increase your muscle mass, and then decrease your cardio just a little bit. Now, the more muscle you have, the more calories your body's going to burn at a resting state, and if you're not eating enough, then your body is going to be at a constant. It's going to prevent you from gaining any muscle, and that it's going to make your recovery slower. It's going to make you feel sluggish. It's going to lead to potentially overtraining. So really track what you're eating for a few days and get an idea of how many calories you're taking in. And there's a lot of calculators online to kind of give you a gauge of about where you should be for your weight, your height, your age, and your goals. What is the best way to kick a sugar addiction? Don't have it in the house. No. I think the best way to kick a sugar addiction is to a few things. One, make sure that you're eating enough throughout the day, because if you're waiting too long before you eat and you're starving, that's when we tend to make bad decisions. I know for myself, if I go too long without eating and I'm really hungry, that's when I want to grab the closest and most convenient thing, which usually isn't the best choice. And also, set a goal, because if you don't have a goal, it's going to make it much harder for you to stay focused, and it's going to make that sugar not seem like it's a big deal to avoid. So, or a big deal to have, it's going to be like, oh, well, it's okay, I'll just start again tomorrow, it's not a big deal. But if you're focused and you're like, okay, I've got to lose, 10 pounds by December 30th, and then I'm going to buy a pair of pants, if you think about that in the back of your mind, it's going to prevent you maybe from wanting to have that sugar. So think of something that will help keep you focused, and maybe that will steer you in the right direction. I'm wondering about DOMS. For those who don't know what DOMS is, it's delayed onset muscle soreness. Are you sore a few days after every workout? If I don't get sore, does that mean I need to change up my workout? Does it mean does that mean I completely wasted a training session? If so, is it possible to get too sore? Not always sore after a workout. If it's something I haven't done in a while, or I pushed myself harder than I normally would, or I switched up the exercises, or I increased the weight or number of sets. If I change something, usually that will make me sore, and I'm sore the next day and 2 days after, and then by the third day, I'm just like fatigued. It's not a big deal. But there are some times where I wake up the next day, I'm just slightly fatigued, and I'm not actually sore to the touch. But that doesn't mean I didn't have a good workout. That means my body is recovering efficiently. So I think that if you aren't getting sore, or you're not really feeling any sort of fatigue for the next day, it could be that you need to challenge yourself a little bit harder, maybe switch things up, maybe increase the weights, challenge yourself. But if you're sore for 5 to 7 days, like debilitating, where you can't sit on the toilet and you can't walk upstairs and stuff like that, or it causes a pain or bruising, then yes, you definitely are too sore and you push yourself too much. So make sure that you're fueling your body with proper nutrients after your training session. You're stretching, drinking enough water, and challenging yourself during your training session, and you're good to go. What are some good meal ideas that are good to eat cold if you travel for your job every day? I actually did a full-length video on this on my website in my member section, and I was on my way to an international trip because I travel every weekend on the plane, and a lot of times I have to eat my food cold, and I have to choose convenient foods that don't require any cooking or preparation. So I included 12 different foods, and I'll give you some of them. Obviously, tuna in a pouch. You could also do protein powder. Raw almonds are also good choices. And then, oatmeal in bags or rice cakes. There's a lot of really quick and easy stuff that you can find at the airport. But if you're curious about all of those ideas I provided, check out my website, NicoleWilkins.com. And the last question I have is, hang on. Hi, Nicole. I just did my first bikini competition. What a rush. I'm addicted. I've heard reverse dieting is ideal and a good way to build up your calories post-show. What sort of diet do you follow and recommend? Thank you. My diet changes a lot throughout the year depending on my goals. I have an ideal place where I like to stay, and I do some carb cycling. Post-show, I definitely don't increase my calories very drastically. It's a very slow progression, so it is a reverse diet. In season, my diet is very specific. I'm eating a lot of the same foods every day, and that's just what I prefer. In the off season, I have a lot more variety, but I do track my calories, so I have certain goals to meet, certain carbs, fats, protein, macros to choose from, or to shoot for throughout the day. And I will implement carb cycling throughout the year at random times. And then, so I think you have to find an approach that works best for you and your body, and is something that you can sustain for life. So those are my questions for this week. Until next week, keep asking your questions on the FitnessRx for Women Facebook page, and I'll be back here every Friday to answer them for you. Until then, keep living the fit life.